Hello and welcome to a mid-sprint update video for my 2D puzzle platform, Orb Garden. In this sprint, I have begun work on implementing levels in the game, and so to ensure that the end of sprint video isn't too long, I am going to showcase the levels built so far to reduce the time quantity of that video. So as you can see, there is now a main menu in the game. This is to ensure the players don't just immediately boot into the game with no idea of what's going on. And as you'll see, once we exit out of this main menu, there is a tutorial section to teach them how to play, which we will do now. So the tutorial has kind of the basic controls listed through these text elements: how to move, how to jump, how to grab orbs, and how to interact with them orbs. It'll also give them subtle hints, such as you can bring the orbs through doorways to subtly push the player in the right direction, so they don't get stuck on the tutorial. So at this point, they are going to hit a sort of a hard skill check. This section is to ensure that players don't move through the game without truly understanding the mechanics. So they have to bring the orb to the analysis machine and register it, and that'll give them enough currency to buy this bomb and progress through the level. Okay, so moving through this hub area, there is only actually one area currently accessible to the player. That area is the first set of levels. So at first, the player might try to move to the left here, but quickly find that they can't progress any further, despite there being a level transition up in the top left. And so they will hopefully then explore the rest of the hub area and find the levels that are accessible to them, which are in the bottom left of the hub, which we'll move to now. Along the way, they'll link outer elements such as that fan that will introduce them to some other basic mechanics of the game. So moving along here, there is a sort of a big drop. The player might attempt to jump across and find they can't quite reach the gap. This will hopefully lead them down the quest of finding an orb that will allow them to traverse that gap. Okay, so as you can see, we found a level door that was accessible to the player, and we will now begin to showcase the first set of levels. I'll just leave this all behind as we won't be needing it. So all throughout these levels, there are coins placed to nudge the player in the right direction without ever truly directly telling them what to do. Okay, so in this puzzle, the player needs to use the platformers to navigate further through. They might try to use this platformer to get back the way they came, and quickly find that that is an impossible feat, and they are now trapped within this puzzle. Truly, the only way to get through these puzzles is by moving forward, as you can see, the platformer does not last long enough for them to make that jump. So using the platformer here, the player can get up to the next level, and then by utilizing these two platformers, they can make it up yet further. Obviously, these first couple of puzzles are relatively simple to sort of teach them the very simple mechanics of the game. There you go. As you can see, I made it up to the highest peak of the level and can now move through another scene transition to a second platformer level. Here, the player must use the skills learned in that previous puzzle to build a stairwell up to the higher points in the level. So to do this, they first need to place a sandstone platformer to the left here, grab the additional sandstone platformer, and place that as high as it'll go, but only as the lower sandstone platformer is about to break, so roughly then. Now, there is some timing involved in this, so I will explain it after I've completed it. As you can see, I had to place the platforms in short succession there before their timer expired and they converted to their orb form. This next section has them repeating that same puzzle, though this time they have to bring an orb up to the higher peak. So if we just bide our time and wait for this obsidian platformer to break back into its orb form, and try and place the one in our hands at roughly the same time. So right about then should be good enough. Now it could be that I've placed that sandstone platform slightly too low here. Cool. There we go. Not quite. I had just enough time to be able to get up to the top here. Okay, and with that obsidian platformer obtained, the player can come back here and navigate back. However, they will quickly find that they'll at least need to hit this coin limit. I might lower this limit, so I'm fairly confident the player will be able to hit it. But if they don't, it's fairly easy to just jump between scene and scene here and collect the last few coins they need. Okay, now at 60 coins, they should be able to progress. There we go. We've bought the bomb and been granted access to the scene we were at before. However, this time we have returned with a obsidian platformer, which will allow us to make this jump back. And not only that, it will also allow us to bring an orb with us, so that we can analyze it in the garden. Oh, jumped straight off there. This puzzle is also designed in a way that the only orb that they can bring back to the garden is the stone platformer, so they are not bringing the more powerful variants with them. Obviously, these first set of puzzles are kind of themed around timing and placement of the platformers. And there we go. With platformer in hand, we can return to the garden and analyze our second orb. Okay, and we also, with that, now have the platformer registered to the garden. This means we can use it to access that level door that we saw at the start, the level door near the top left of the hub. So moving to the left here, we will see two things. We'll see firstly, because we registered the red key here earlier, it is now sitting in this position. And also, because we now have the platform orb, we can reach this height. So if we place the stone platform there, we take a brief run to grab the momentum and jump up. And as you can see, we have accessed this area that was previously inaccessible to us. And this will take us on to the next set of levels designed, which are themed around the blaster orb. You might have seen that kind of strange element back here. I'll just briefly explain that before I move on. There's a few of these kind of similar elements that I have designed. They are basically to prevent you bringing orbs back to the garden without solving the puzzles. So due to us needing to bring the red key into this level, we can't then bring another sort of orb that we would then be able to bring back to the garden, as we would be able to get straight back to the previous level door. Okay, so with this level, the player might try to move on and find that there is actually an orange gate here. And they will find that they have to come down to this lower section to be able to grab the orange key to unlock the orange lock to access the orange gate. Okay, but now when they are down here, they'll once again find they are stuck. As if they try to jump back up, they will see that the fan does not carry them high enough to be able to get back up to that higher section. Until they'll grab this new orb, the blaster, and move across here. And this first sort of section here is to teach them that the blaster can break not only the garden sort of standard platforms, but also platformers. These red obsidian platformers are locked in position until they are blown up with a blaster. So I'm going to utilize the blaster here. It will allow us to progress this next section and also destroy the platforms we're standing on. Looking down at the bottom here, you can see there is a super coin. So there is some incentive if they wish to jump down in that hole and solve the kind of same puzzle they solved earlier to get back out. But we're not going to do that for this demonstration. We're going to grab the orange key. I'm going to jump up this fan section. We're going to use its ability to unlock the orange lock, and as you can see, that has disabled the orange gates. We're actually going to jump back here because we do need to bring the blaster with us to solve this puzzle. So now they have the blaster, and again, that gate is unlocked, though they'll find, obviously, they still can't access this top portion. But moving to the right here, you can see there is a sort of this is a very simple puzzle, but it's kind of more designed to teach the player about mechanics than it is to challenge them in any way. So this sort of red swirls of carrots here is a player blockade. The player won't be able to move through it, and if they attempt to, it'll kind of shunt them away. This sort of distance is too high for the player to jump up, but they know that they need this platformer to get back up to the top section. And so after a few attempts, what I expect of them is they will find out that they can roll the blaster through the player blockade. The fan will boost up to that gate, and the gate will activate it, blowing up that locked platform. The subsequent explosions will also move the platformer back in the direction towards us, so eventually it will make its way down to us, to the point where we could grab it. And obviously, now we have it, we can get back up to this top section of the level, though we cannot bring any orbs but the key with us. Again, this is kind of on purpose to prevent them bringing elements into the next puzzle that I do not wish them to. So they can move through the level transition here into the final blaster puzzle. This puzzle was already demonstrated in the Sprint 1 video. However, I have kind of tweaked it and polished it for the modern standards of the game. So to solve this puzzle, we need to grab a platformer. It needs to be rested over here. We then need to grab a blaster. We need to place the platformer. We need to jump atop it, and then throw our blaster through the player blockade. Usually we require a touch of momentum to do this. And I believe in this situation, we have made the platformer not quite high enough. So we jump a little bit, get a touch higher. That should provide enough height that we can toss the bomb through the hole. And there we go. And that has blown up the platform in the top left, allowing us to access that portion of the level using this launcher. Now we're down here, we can grab an orange key, take the orange key up to this lock, unlock it, and then we need to repeat the process so that we can bring a blaster with us, if not, we will get stuck on another blockade. So I simply repeat that process here. Grab the second launcher. We'll then be able to use that blaster to access this next portion of the level. With that, the blaster puzzles are complete, and moving through this door will be granted access back into the garden. With the blaster in hand and able to register it to our system. So I'll head over to Analysis Machine. The blaster is now registered in the garden. I'll just use a touch of the money we've got here to purchase an upgrade, just so I can showcase that that functionality is still indeed working. So now we have a blaster, like when we obtained the platform before. New areas of the hub are now accessible to us, specifically the portion down here near the fan. Moving to the left here, you'll see that there is a blockade here that we can blow apart with our blaster, allowing us to access another challenge. So this is the last puzzle that I've developed so far. This, whilst the others tested more of a analytical kind of logical portion of the player, this is more of a platforming challenge. It tests more of their dexterity and reaction times. So this is not a complicated puzzle per se. To win, we simply have to grab these launchers and use them to jump from platform to platform so that we can reach the door we came in from and register to the garden. However, the challenges come in the fact that orbs are continually being launched from the top of the scene, that if they collide with us, will knock us off course and potentially disrupt our platforming. So we have to wait our time before making any rash jumps. As you can see, me making a bit of I guess a jump without waiting there almost had that orb hit me and knock me off course. So not really much to explain here. I'm just sort of waiting, making sure, there we go, we wait for the orbs to pass before progressing. And because of the way the puzzle's designed, it does create situations like this where there might be a hold up on a platform because there's too many orbs, in which case we just have to push some of these orbs off to progress. So we'll continue on moving up here, collecting coins as we go, being careful not to get whacked by falling launchers. And it does get a touch more risky the closer to the top we get as we are getting close to their spawn points. As you can see above us is where the orbs spawn. When I do the polish pass, there will be parkour effects added to their spawn. Technically, we could just go back now, take this launcher orb with us, and have solved this puzzle. However, for sort of additional rewards, if they want to also analyze the sideways launcher back at the garden, they can grab it here and attempt to take that back to the garden instead. We have to be careful here, though, as we are now left without a launcher. So if we drop down, it'll be a one-way trip to the bottom for us. Okay, we now have a sideways launcher, which will allow us to launch all the way back to the door. And moving through that door will take us back to the garden. And obviously we now have an additional orb to register to the analysis machine, which I will do so before ending the video. And with that, we've registered 4 orbs to the garden. Sorry, 4 orbs to the garden, and showcased the first section of puzzles that I have developed for this sprint. Thanks for watching.